Alright, so I guess with that we'll do one more video on this game. We'll check out the career mode first weekend in a very similar fashion to how I covered it last year. We'll go through this a bit quicker because I think in the gameplay department it's not going to be that much different. All the real changes to career mode are in the menus. I'm assuming there'll be like an intro video. And we'll skim over that and we'll pick a team. Alright, so team selection. Last year I obviously did Haas because of Mick Schumacher being in the game. Obviously he's not a driver at Haas for 2023, so we're not going to do that this time around. We're not going to pick Red Bull in particular or Ferrari because they're going to be the most powerful teams in the game from the get-go, and as I've said a few times already, Red Bull in F1 Manager 22 was kind of overpowered. You almost guaranteed to win 99% of the time unless there was an incident that either driver was involved in, particularly for Verstappen. Verstappen was like the highest rated racer in the game aside from Lewis Hamilton. I think they were kind of like the same overall rating at, I think, 91. Considering how it has been in real life, I'm assuming Red Bull are going to be even more powerful now. So we're definitely not picking Red Bull, and probably Ferrari not that far behind, but it'll be a bit more of a challenge to beat Verstappen and Perez in this game, particularly Verstappen. I think you guys already know where I'm going. Even though he's not a racer in the game, we're going to pick Mercedes, and what I'm going to hopefully get to do this time is bring Mick Schumacher into the practice session, because one thing I wanted to do last year was after the revelation about David Schumacher being in the game, I put him as like the reserve driver at Haas, but I didn't get to run the practice session simply because of the guidance in the game from the get-go. I might just end up turning that off because obviously I want to do a practice session this time around and put Mick in the car. So yeah, we're going to do that. This will not be the team. I probably might not. I might do Mercedes this year simply to put Mick in a race scenario later on. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll get a better idea of how powerful Mercedes is in this first race, I guess. Obviously, we're not going to catch the Red Bulls and probably have wheel to wheel with a Ferrari mostly. But the Red Bulls are going to be almost literally unbeatable. This is new. We have an experience now. So first time manager, new team principals will give full guidance on the team. So it's a guidance level, I guess. Training principle only guiding for the new and updated aspects of the Formula One, managing a Formula One team, which is the new aspects of the game. And experienced is the basically turning the experienced person off. We'll have returning because obviously it'd be best to do that to go through the newer aspects of the career mode, so we'll do that. And yes, I did name myself Toad Wolf. There's no real point putting my name in the game because it would be completely unrealistic. I don't know the first thing about managing a team and building a car. So it would be kind of unrealistic to put my name in the game.
And show you what's new.
Right, so I guess this audio will only come up in the new sections, which will be like driver contracts are new, building car parts has received some updates. Now there's like durability in the game, contracts are different, and driver development is different. Driver development is a lot more streamlined, which should make development better, because that was one thing that was really not great about last year in like driver development. Driver development was so freaking slow, and it really hurt someone like Mick Schumacher, for example, because you want to get him up to about 80 or 90, but it's so slow. And Mick Schumacher was never really good at the start of the game. He was always the slower of the two drivers. Even if you put him in a Ferrari, it was always very difficult to win with Mick Schumacher. I remember trying to do a video on this game with Mick Schumacher winning the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, but he only really won that because of an incident out front. It was very hard to win with a lower ranked driver. Obviously, in comparison to Kevin Magnussen, it was probably correct in the ratings, but Mick's rating was like like not that low, but it really felt like it was, because he was just nowhere near anyone in any car. So hopefully now that the updates or the driver progression is like it is, it might help. Obviously, I'm probably not going to run. I'm not going to do. One thing I'd like to do.
You're joining us at a pivotal time here at Mercedes. We've been top of the game for too long to settle for anything less now. With you here to lead us and a talented team at our backs, we're ready to reclaim our crown.
A lot of Mercedes fans have been saying that. Reclaim the 8th and all that. But, what I could do, I know, is like replace one of these two and put Mick in the race scenario immediately, but I'm pretty much assuming that George and Hamilton have massive contracts that have massive buyout clauses, and that's going to take up all of our money. We've got like 42 million in the bank, but I'm assuming that these two are going to be like massive buyout fees. I'll have a look at that in a second. So pretty much the same stuff as last year. Obviously, you won't be able to do any of the sponsor obligations until the start of next season. Let's see. Okay, so they want second this season, and they want Constructors' Championship in the long term by the end of the 2024 season. So that's a bit of leeway. You get at least 1 year before you're expected to win the Constructors' Championship in the second year. Now, the interesting thing about this game is that it will have a team swapping feature or a team switching feature, but not until later in the game. I'm not sure why they're adding that as a post-launch update, to be honest. Maybe it's something they decided late on, because I'm pretty sure that was one of the heavily requested features from last year's game. Because once you pick a team in last year's game, you're pretty much stuck with that team, and you had to really do a new save to do over it, which I know can be very troublesome, because you want to actually switch teams and have a different experience, but you have to restart the game and you have to go through with all the same drivers, and you never really get to experience the new lineups because of that. So I think what the F1 YouTubers are going to end up doing is they're going to end the season, or at least make it to the end of a second season, and then probably swap teams when the update is live. But we'll have to wait for that. So the email system's pretty much the same as last year, which is good to know. The calendar is different now. One of the things in the calendar is that you can have this pit lane training now, because one of the new members of your team is a sporting director. I don't think that's actually come up yet, because there's the Bahrain Grand Prix. So we've actually got 11 days to the Bahrain Grand Prix, so it's kind of gone over. Well, we didn't have a preseason shakedown this year, because we had that last year because of the drastic differences between new cars and the technical regulations. That obviously is still in its second year, so they probably skipped over that. I would like a preseason testing, honestly. I would have actually really liked that. No game has ever experienced preseason testing. I think it's because at the end of the day, you're probably not going to be able to get much out of a preseason test, to be honest. Preseason test is just to kind of gauge where you would be before the first round. I don't know how that would work in a game, but I think it would be nice if they could make it work. That would be cool. So obviously, Spain is now the updated version. That's nice, with the last corner there. Are Singapore and Spa different? I mean, it's the Belgian Grand Prix this weekend. The track doesn't really look that different to me, from what I've seen so far, so I don't think it looks that much different. Oh, look! It has sprint weekend here, so it actually tells you it's a sprint weekend. Because sprint weekends are actually a new thing in this game. They were in last year's game because they were implemented very late in real life, and very much like this season with the new sprint shootout format that was introduced, that came in very late in the day, and neither F1 game has that format because of how late it was introduced. Now Singapore, I don't think Singapore looks that different, to be honest. I wouldn't be able to really tell. Maybe it does, you know. Maybe it does. I haven't raced Singapore in a while. The last time I raced Singapore was in the Breaking Point story. And in F1 23, they don't have the updated Singapore circuit until sometime post-launch. Got 3 DRS zones. I think that might be new. I'm not entirely sure. It does look a little bit different. I think it does, but I can't really get a grasp on it too well. So if anyone gets to Singapore and wants to let me know if the track does feel different, let me know. But it will be an F1 23 later down the line. There's the sale for Qatar, and there's Vegas for the end of the year. Vegas looks a very easy track, doesn't it? Having a look at it, you don't really have to worry about too much. This is going to be probably on the levels of Saudi Arabia sort of speed street track. Probably even faster, actually, because the corners aren't like that very taxing. Obviously, I've experienced it in F1 23, and I actually really enjoyed it. And I also experienced it in the scenario, of course, in this game. And I really enjoyed going around it, actually. So we've got the review targets. So there's Schumacher. He's the reserve driver at Mercedes now. So that was probably the main reason why I picked Mercedes right now. I'm actually just noticed something. Look at that. George Russell as car 1. That's weird to me. There's a few teams that have done that this year, I've noticed. That they kind of have car 1 as someone who wouldn't be actually... You'd think Hamilton would be car 1, not car 2. I mean, George Russell is the future, of course. But Lewis is the multiple world champion. So why is he car 2? What other team does that? Can we I should have looked in the Oh, one thing I might check quickly. I might just drop a save and I might just boot up Red Bull quickly just to see something. I'm gonna do Red Bull with me. I want to see if they've factored in their cost cap penalty. That'd be very interesting to find out. Alright, so car 1. We'll build a new chassis, just out of curiosity. Yeah, look! This team has received an ATR penalty that reduces their available aerodynamic testing time by 10%. That's a nice touch. They actually included Red Bull's ATR penalty for breaking the cost cap. That's neat. Well done, Frontier. That's actually really neat. I really like that. That's really well done. Alright, so I'm just going to skim over the staff and see which drivers are kind of car-based. So Red Bull's pretty accurate. Ferrari, that's accurate. So yeah, George is car 1 at Mercedes, which is kind of weird. Oh yeah, look. McLaren have also done it. Piastri is car 1 over Lando Norris. I don't know whether that's like something they just missed or whether that was actually legit, because you wouldn't think Piastri would be car 1. You'd think car 1 would be the team's lead driver, as it were. So for Verstappen at Red Bull, for example. Alfa Romeo's right. Well, I mean, yeah, considering the ownership of Aston Martin, I guess that's somewhat right. Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. The Freeze W Yuki Tsunoda, no. Most of these teams are, like, a couple of these teams have got really strange driver orders. I know in the end of the day it doesn't really matter, I guess. But it is a bit strange to see any of that. Anyway, let's go back in. Sorry, I was really curious to see all that. That's really neat from Frontier. I love the fact that they've included Red Bull's cost cap penalty, or ATR penalty for breaking the cost cap. That is pretty freaking neat, to be fair. Right. So we'll go into the car section first. So let's see. If I was to do a Mercedes save, what would we do? Let's kind of experience that.
Will undergo an inspection following
so this is new because Audrey showed up.
If an aero parts condition is too low, it will fail the inspection and need replacing. How many races an aero part can last for is dictated by its durability, which is determined during the design phase.
Right, so I think what this means is you can build a car part, but it will only last a specific number of races before it needs replacing. that could be very interesting. Considering in last year's game, and it's very interesting because in last year's game, you could pretty much go and do anything you wanted and not be really worried about the cost cap. You wouldn't really have to worry about it. But now that places that new car parts will need replacing every so often, you will have to be definitely more mindful of breaking the cost cap. Now, a lot of the teams have high cost caps. Mostly, how the cost cap works is the lower down the order you are in the constructor standings, the bigger cap you have. But even with the big teams, you weren't really in any danger of like going over it and receiving a penalty. I don't even know if you received a penalty in last year's game for breaking it. So you may do, now that we know that Red Bull does have a 10% penalty for breaking it. Maybe that's actually a thing they put in the game as an actual thing, which could be quite interesting. So yeah, you can build a part, but now it lasts a certain number of races. Probably have to rebuild it, I guess. We'll have to find that out. So pretty much the same as last year. You obviously have a new suspension here, which I guess is a new one. Yeah, this suspension is already like a new car part you get instantly from any team at any time. We'll manufacture a new one so we can put one on both cars. So we'll do that. And we'll do that before the Bahrain people put them on. So, how do we know team stats? Do we go in car analysis? Yeah, okay, let's do it this way actually. So, Mercedes looks bad. Like, really bad. Like, acceleration and DRS effectiveness is like end of the field. Like, on average. Yeah, that's gonna be really tough. Mercedes is actually a tough one this year, and it's only gonna get worse the lower down the field you go. But even on Mercedes, that's really tough. That's gonna take more than a season just to sort out. You actually have pretty good against the grid average though, so that's not too bad. I guess that could make up for a lot of deficits they'd have. Okay, so what do we need here? Oh, it tells you this as well. Okay. I'm familiar with a car with specific car design. The higher the part knowledge, the better their performance. That would be through increased production of the thing, which we'll probably go into later. So I think looking at this right now, new side pods would definitely be useful. I think side pods would be the first thing a Mercedes person would, like a Mercedes playthrough would do. Probably some new side pods immediately, and probably a new underfloor, because the underfloor was very overpowered in last year's game. It was like basically the meta of the game last year. So always build an underfloor immediately, because it gives you like massive boosts to your overall performance. So let's build a side pod. So here's the maximum lifespan down here. How much have we got? 4.814 days. That's the new ATR period. This is where I get lost. I did a whole season with Mercedes for time many games. Got to next season, it didn't really feel like I improved the car that much, because I didn't really understand what I was doing. I think I got somewhat a grasp on it, but still not really. What I ended up doing was just doing two parts and using up the entire period with half for each one. What I would normally do here in this instance is find out what half of 4.8 is, so we'd probably say about maybe like 3. We'd go like a 2.4 or something, and then I would use 64 days, so I'd find out about half of that, and that'd be about 32. So that's what I do. I do something like this, and then I would do the other half on like underfloor in the first weekend. So we'll probably do that again here, because we've not got long to the next ATR period anyway, so we might as well use them up. So let's do that.
Car parts each weigh extra, and together will add weight to the car build. This will contribute to a reduction in certain areas of a car's performance.
Right.
Designing aero parts with higher durability will increase condition life of a part, but any durability improvements will come with the payoff of extra weight. Lighter car parts will last for fewer races, making them more expensive on average.
Really? Lighter car parts will last fewer races, making them more expensive. So, in hindsight, you probably don't want to edit that at all. But obviously, doing this here, would probably increase that by default. See if I do this, for example. What happens if I do this? Oh, it doesn't really increase the lifespan at all, so it doesn't do that automatically. What I would normally do is just leave this on balance for the most part. What do we need? Let's see. Well, I think we would need more in high speed. So what I would probably... Actually, it doesn't... Oh, okay, so it says here that it will give you 2+ in high speed. So it will probably take you up to about 11th. And then engine cooling will be 13th, right? That's the guess. I think, to be honest, I think we'd want to do a bit more in the engine cooling because we're only at 42%. So maybe a little bit higher on this. Yeah, maybe there, because it would actually still give us a bit of an update, but not as much. So if we probably do engine cooling and put that there. So minimum lifespan, so right now is 5 to 9 races. Extra weight at 5 kg. Minimum lifespan is 4,000 kilometers, I guess. What would happen if I did this, by the way? So maybe if we did that, maybe something like that. Maybe. See, I don't understand any of this. I don't get it. You know, I don't really get it that much. Yeah, I think we'll probably go something like that because at least it's something substantial. Right, so what do we do here then? Because obviously we need to be mindful of the car's weight. And apparently total extra weight, it was 7th. Apparently. We dropped to like last just doing that, and that would actually hurt us a lot. So I'm probably not even going to try that. Four to 8, 5 to 9. Yeah, probably leave it at that, to be honest. Yeah, probably leave it at that. Obviously, I'm probably not going to continue this save afterwards, or I might do. So, can assign time to 6 engineers to a project. Well, I think we'll have 2 here. We'll have 3 here and then 3 on the other one, because we're obviously doing 2 at this point. Now, this costs 1 million, I think. Intense is 3 million. Ooh. I'll probably go normal on this. Because the underfloor is what you want the actual expertise at, because the underfloor is overpowered. Now, the underfloor is overpowered in last year's game, but I don't know whether they've adjusted that. I think things like facilities will impact the cost cap. Like, I think they've adjusted it so you could have more of a risk to break the cost cap. You could probably have a bigger risk for it. We have a lot of cap remaining, to be fair. Maybe I should do intense, because this is the thing we need the most, though. And then maybe go normal on the underfloor. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to do this. And then do the same for this. So this is what I would normally do at the start of any save. I'd basically use that up. We'll keep this as balanced, and we'll keep it as it is. and then we'll intense that. Oh, that's 4,000,000 now. Yeah, money is going to be definitely a thing you need to like think about, which I like, to be fair. Makes it a bit more difficult overall. So we've done that. This is weird. So Hamilton's contract is remaining 9 months. We probably won't renew any contracts for right now. So
to ensure your team is developing as desired, you can set up a targeted development plan for
this is the new development ideas. So Marcus Dudley is actually a new guy at Mercedes. George had a different guy last year, so he's actually got a new guy now. I think he had him at some point last year, if I remember rightly as well, like towards the end of it. I think he had this guy. So let's have a look at this. So yeah, look at Costa break contract, 7 million just on that, with 2 years left on it. I guess Hamilton's is like really extortionate. Yeah, 10 million. That's a lot of money. So I'm not even gonna try and put Mick in one of these seats for now. I think I'm gonna make like. I think what I might do if I do a Mercedes save is I may have Schumacher take over from Hamilton, maybe for season 2. Maybe. I don't think Hamilton's going to regress at all yet, because that's a different thing as well. Like,
if you want to direct your staff to focus on specific areas of their development, you can do so here.
Yeah, I think with Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso in particular, I don't think development is really going to matter. Each driver has their own team development rates, which demonstrates the potential to improve and grow into the role. As seasons progress, older drivers may experience attribute. So basically, as they get older, their attributes get worse, and that actually is a thing in this game, because last year's game didn't have that at all. So that's something new. Student development to guide their training. Staff members will only improve attributes associated with this development focus. Additional contributors to both driver and staff development. For all staff and drivers, their current morale will impact their development. Okay. Fair enough. So I think with drivers like Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso and probably Sergio Perez, basically with development rate as low, you probably don't want to do any of this. And basically Lewis is, what's Lewis? He's like a 90, is he? So you're probably not going to get much more out of him by doing specific things. So really, I think with drivers like Lewis, you probably just want to leave them on balance, to be fair. It's the reserve drivers that you probably want to put in roles like this. So if your driver's like anywhere between 80 and 90, you probably don't really want to give them much of a development focus. George could probably grow a little bit. Obviously, the race simulator is a good thing as well to increase stats, but last year the stat increasing was so slow, it was almost non-existent. I think George is pretty good. I don't think with George, I don't think we need to really do anything with him either. So it's really Mick that we need to put focus in. What's his contract? I'm going to leave that as it is, because it basically, if we run down Lewis's contract and run down Mick's, it'll be less to bring him in next year. You could obviously, let's see. So if we were to renew his contract, for example, we do this? Contract start date, there you go. So you can have it for next season and have no buyout fee at all. So if we put it over car 2, right, over Lewis for next year, buyout fee none. Oh, so we could do this now. So in hindsight then, we could basically do this contract and with buyout fee of none, cost to fire current staff would be 0. So this is the beauty of it for next season. You don't have to lose any money. So if I'm thinking of bringing Mick in for Lewis like next year, for example, we could do that now. One thing I'd really like to do, and I know it sounds bizarre, is I'd actually like to keep Lewis and replace George with Mick Schumacher. That probably wouldn't be fair. I think my headcanon and my kind of poetic thing would be that Mick takes over from Hamilton, who took over from Michael Schumacher at the end of 2012. That would be the poetic headcanon thing I'd like to happen, actually, because I think it would just be very poetic and very cool as a Michael Schumacher fan. You know, the guy that took over from Michael at the end of his career is then replaced by his own son as he passes the torch. That's what I'd like to do. So that's the reason I might go with Mercedes this year, because I'd actually really like to do this. So I might actually put a lot more focus into this part right now, and maybe continue with the save later. So let's put Mick on 3, give him car 2, let's give him all this. Bonus threshold will have 5th, I think, because I don't know how fast we're going to be for next year, because I can't do the car building for anything. I really am bad at that. Let's see if he would do this. No, he'd want a higher salary. That makes sense, I guess. Oh shoot, wait, am I doing this right? I'm doing this right, okay. So let's bump this up a little bit. Let's have 223. Apparently it's very specific, isn't it? Like 223. He likes the rest of it. It was just the annual salary, so let's bump that up a little bit. Nah, still too high. It's going to be one of those extortion things, isn't he? Oh, actually, contract accepted. Contract accepted. Okay, we'll do it. Fair enough. So, in theory now, yep, next season Mick Schumacher. Cool. It just seems harsh to replace Hamilton with him, but maybe that would actually be a good thing. I don't know. I'd like that to happen. Honestly, I would like that to happen. So, this guy's actually got a face now. Is that new? Oh yeah. What? Can we actually? Now that I think about it, because what I would also like for Mick is to have Pete Boddington as his engineer as well, because I'm pretty sure he worked with Michael Schumacher in 2012. I'm pretty sure he did. I could be wrong about that though. So let's pick a development plan for him. So let's see. Maybe balanced is actually wouldn't be too bad. Maybe balanced is actually a good thing for me. Let's see. 78, 73, 74, 77, 71, 76. Paced long runs, I think, is what Mick struggled with for the most part last year. So if anything, I'd probably want to pick that. Yeah, I don't think Mick was really good over the long runs. He seemed to kind of fall off in long run scenarios last year. In fact, I think this might be the one I pick, because this is actually the lowest attribute he's got. We could either do race strategy. I mean, his race strategy was mostly mucked by Haas last year, to be honest. Focus on kind of condition in wet conditions. It's going to be pointless, because Formula 1 doesn't really run in the rain that much these days. Wheel to wheel, I don't think we'll really get a focus on that for Mick. We don't really know how good he is. Well, he did have a couple of crashes with someone like Vettel and Latifi. I think Mick's real problem was just crashing on his own. Poor guy, to be honest. It's either wheel to wheel or pace long. I think pace long runs, because to increase his smoothness a bit quicker. We could obviously change this later, so maybe it's something we could focus on now, and then maybe go into balance a little later when he's boosted these up. So we'll probably go with long runs for him. To get some facility bonuses as well. The race simulator could be very important. They actually gained 60%. Maybe he could go up quite quickly then. That'd be cool. So maybe after 1 year, if we can get him up to like 78 or 79, that would actually be a good starting point. I'll have to see how that goes. So it actually focuses on 2019, but I think now the 2018 year is taken. Oh no, we didn't start till 2019, my bad. So that's cool. So we can basically put Schumacher in the car with no breakout fee, and we can still have Hamilton for 1 more year. And we can do this with any driver as well, by the way. Okay. So all the real people, which is awesome. I might renew these guys. Boddington in particular. I'm gonna try, and what I'm gonna do. What did we put Mick on? We put him on for 3 years, didn't we? So what I'm going to try and do here is... It's funny because Bollington's actually the first race engineer, but he's actually contracted to the second driver. That's a bit weird. Can we do this? So if we renew contract, right, start this next season for 3 at car 2 and give him all of that already. Because then that will run through till the start of mixed contract. All contract accepted. Sweet, we can do that immediately. Yeah. That'll start from next year, so that'll be around the time Mick starts his, which would be pretty sweet. This other guy is... there's a lot of contracts running down at Mercedes. That's really unusual. I don't think we need to replace any of these, to be honest, because they're still quite high. So I don't think we need to. Yeah, we don't need to put focus into these guys. He's not got any like really low stats, so he's fine. Yeah, he's pretty good. I think these high people, you're not really gonna have to worry about them so much. Let's renew this guy, because. Actually, come to think of it, how can we... shoot. Is it in contract? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Now we're talking. So obviously, having these guys would be buyouts. So don't really want to focus on that. These guys aren't really that much better than the guys we already have. So I don't think we need to focus on this right now. Yeah, I think Mercedes are like almost the highest ranked staff alongside maybe Red Bulls. Yeah, I don't think we need to really change anything here. We just probably need to renew contracts actually. So we do it with this guy as well. Again, we can start it from we have it actually for 2 seasons maybe. Yeah, we'll do that. This will probably dump a lot of money at the beginning of next season. It probably would, but it'll be worth it. Obviously, we need to be mindful of the cost cap as well, because I think I could be wrong, but I think team personnel is also a thing you need to think about when it comes to the cost cap. So, but. Oh, low morale, so we can't renew him anyway, because he's got low morale. Fair enough. So the sporting director is actually a new guy. He does the pit crew stuff that we don't really know how to do right now. Let's renew him if we can. Yep. I'd probably like to buy Jonathan Wheatley, to be honest. I wonder if we could. I wonder if we could, where is he? We actually get Formula 2 sporting directors. That's pretty cool. Huh, that's interesting. Alan Permain, he was race engineer to either Fisichella or Alonso like years ago. Back in the 2000s. He's a name I remember. So can we Jonathan Wheatley doesn't have a face. That's annoying. I like Jonathan Wheatley though, he's cool. Is there any in the free agent pool? This guy's interesting. Oh, hang on. Carl Wolf, wasn't he the guy at Aston Martin? Let's do a scout on this guy. Let's do a scout on that guy. He might be interesting. He's an 80. Our sporting director is a 94. Oh, well, it might be something we do later, perhaps. We could have him on our books, like for later. So again, next season. Just give him all he already has. See what he says. Okay, so we'll highen his salary a little bit then, I guess. We'll give him that. It's probably not that high, is it? No. The contract system is definitely a lot more. It's not so easy to sign people, I'm noticing. No. It's going to be a bit tough to get this guy. Got one more chance. If he doesn't receive like this one, we'll obviously come back to him later. So now we can't do anything because I think the patience comes back after a few races. So at least we know a limit. So yeah, he probably wants like, he is a 94 to be fair. Now that I'm thinking about it. So don't need drivers. We've already got Mick on board. We might need a new reserve driver actually. Let's. Do you know what? I'm thinking if I was to carry on with this slave, there is Sebastian Montoya. That is awesome, by the way, to see him. Yeah, that's cool. No David Schumacher, which is a shame, but he's somewhere else now. There is a guy I want to immediately think of when... Where is he? Let's go driver name. Where is he? There's two I could think of. Maybe Dragovic or this guy, Frederick Vesti. He's apparently on Mercedes Young Driver Program, I believe. So we could scout him out, and we could probably put him on for next year in the reserve role when Mick finally is all ready to take over Hamilton's seat. At that point, got a few free agents here. Mel Carrera's in the game, that's cool. Luke DuPont, Williams Reserve. I've never heard of him before. I thought it would have been Jamie Chadwick, to be honest. What else could we see? Probably Hulkenberg. Mind you, it would have to be a driver role, wouldn't it? If we want Mick on board. Yeah, we definitely have to look in the reserve pool, wouldn't we? I guess. So Giovinazzi's still at Ferrari. So yeah, it would be Frederick Vesti at the moment. So we'll have those two. Facility upgrades. This looks pretty decent for now. I don't think we need to do anything here, which would be good because I think they factor into the cost cap as well. Race Simulator is already pretty decent, to be fair. Scouting department, don't really worry about it. I don't really worry about the scouting department that much. I wonder if, like, because it seems to have the actual building here, which I think is pretty freaking neat. That's a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool thing. Like, it's got an actual building. That's pretty sweet. Team Hub is for staff row and drivers. Is that the effect now or the effect afterwards? Yeah, I don't think we need to do anything here either. The scouting department, I don't really worry about. It's not something we're really going to need that badly. We've already scouted the people we need. Let's see. Should we build a tour center just to have all the buildings available? Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna wait on these. Probably the weather center would be an immediate thing. How long would it take? 7 days. That would be on time for the Bahrain Grand Prix. So I think we should upgrade this because it's a crucial part of the race weekend. Mind you, to be fair, they're already at 60%. I don't know if facilities come into the cost cap. We'll do that. Boardroom. Board comment is 10% cheap, attractive is 10%. We're not looking to really bring in people yet, so I don't think we need to worry about this. Right, so luxury helicopter landing space for this kind of experience for most important guests. I don't never really seen the appeal of the helipad, to be honest. I don't know why that's a thing. It does increase team attractiveness though. Sponsor targets payout plus 1%. Not really worth it, really, is it? To be honest, not at the moment. Memorabilia room. I thought Mercedes would have a bigger memorabilia room, considering all the trophies they've had in the last decade. Just over a decade. I'm surprised. So we've done that. Weather Center is actually upgrading in 24 days. I didn't actually see that. Oh well, never mind. Board and finances. So right now we would be 92 million on the cost cap. That's not bad. That's a projected thing. Yeah, so it really is a lot more aggressive this year. So we're gonna have to definitely be mindful of that, especially when it comes to like car parts that we need to replace. So yeah, definitely going to be mindful of that. Alright, so I think with that we can fast forward time to the Bahrain Grand Prix. So let's do it. So there's the manufacturer of the suspension, which we will put on both cars. Nope. Oops. Oops. Yeah, do that on both cars. So, key staff, which we know about. Sponsor obligations have already been negotiated. That's from last year. So they have these F1 journalists, which are pretty cool. I wish there was like something you could do for a testing period. I do wish that there was like a testing period. You could have Mick Schumacher with low morale. What the fuck? He just got his contract renewed and now he's got low morale. Renegotiate their contract and offer them a higher salary and larger starting bonus. What the fuck? That's random. I think as you get into the game, I think morale becomes less of a worry. I think that it's generally okay. It seems to be most of the time. But how our drivers have been developing the past month. Oh, okay. Okay, fair. So you actually get developments on your an email on your driver development. Pit crew development schedule.
The pit crew
here we go.
Part of our team. Their reliability and speed can make a big difference to a race outcome. When they're back at HQ in between races, the pit crew can train to improve in different areas.
Okay. Okay.
The pit crew development plan will focus on a balanced training approach, but you can give them further instruction and focus on a specific area. The pit crew are always so busy training. You can access the team's training schedule through the calendar, and from there customize the current plan right down to a daily breakdown.
Oh my word.
Just bear in mind that as the pit crew's job, and therefore training, is very physical, they can become fatigued, and as a result, more prone to making mistakes.
Okay.
Remember, the constructor with the highest number of fastest pit stops will win the DHL Fastest Pit Stop Award at the end of the year. That is
actually a thing, yes.
Once you're happy with the pit crew training schedule, make sure to confirm it.
The only thing I'm really worried about is here. New tires on is in red. But that's the only thing I'm really worried about right now. So, selected preset. Pit stop errors that actually helps. Pit stop time, but it lowers everything else. So I don't really know. Fatigue reduction. That actually might be a thing. Well rested 14%. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this because it makes everything blue and actually is quicker than a balanced thing. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, I think. It brings down the estimated pit stop time to about 0, but to be honest, yeah, I think pit stop errors is the best thing to do for the moment. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Hang on a minute. Balanced. Raise and lower the car. Wheel guns. New tires on. Actually increases that to about 30 now. Tires. Release. Yeah, let's do that. She said through the calendar. So I wonder if... Or is it just before, like a... How to... That's when the side pods come in. There's the new ATR period. Do they have... Oh, new regulations proposed. I really liked the new regulations, the way they changed it to have a point system and take away the fastest lap point. The new regulation systems were really like an awesome feature. I'm not seeing anything about the pit crew, so it must just come up when you simulate time. I guess that makes sense. Gives you, you know, you can only worry about it when it actually happens. Build an upgraded facility, just got an achievement for that. Unfortunately, you guys didn't see it. Okay. Alrighty then. So, let's go into the race weekend. Hopefully we can do practice this year. Let's do this again. We can shoot, we could... Yeah, we'll reach Q3. I think we'll reach Q3 easily, to be honest. I'm not going to do race targets because we don't know where we're going to really finish yet. We'll lead the... Finish position streak, I never really focused on, to be honest. Because you can never be sure. This game is really unpredictable in, like, what can happen.